All right, so welcome to episode 4 of Black Valley Podcast. Now, we started out with focusing on the customer, right? So we went through the ideal customer profile, we went through personas, we went through
Medicine.
the buyer profiles, and our goal was to get intimate with the customers because only by being intimate with the customers and knowing exactly
Thank
what
you.
they value can we actually hope and dream to tailor our product and services toward what they need. And now we want to take this a little step further, right? Most entrepreneurs, most business owners, they get some idea about what customers value and what their product and services should be, but they never test it out with their actual customers. And if you start delivering before you test it out, and it turns out that your hunch, your guess about what they value wasn't spot on, then you won't make the money that you want to make. So the idea behind the customer hypothesis is that before we actually start delivering, before we spend a lot of time, energy, and money delivering our product or service, what we want to do is go find the customer segment that you want to go after, your target. And we figured that out when we were doing the personas. And once you actually find that target, you get representatives in from that target, and let's validate beforehand that the customers want this product or service. That way, if you can validate it before you actually spend the money, if you were wrong, which most often we are, right? If you were wrong, you can avoid wasting the money. And again, I'm going to stress most often we're wrong. 72% of all products fail in the marketplace or considered irrelevant by the customers, right? 72%, right? So 7 out of 10 complete failures. So the chances are you're wrong, right? So again, before we spend the money, we should test it out. And it's not hard to test it out. The question we have to ask ourselves is who knows what customers value? Who knows? The customers.
All right.
And so what we want to do is actually be able to clearly articulate here's our value proposition, right? And once we actually get our value proposition set up, then we want to be able to go to representatives from our target market, ask them, is this correct? Do you really value this? Right? How much would you pay for this? Right? Is this need to get done? Is it solving the problems that you need to get solved? Is it opening the that you had in competitor products? Is it giving you the results that you want, the way you measure it? Right? We want to actually figure that out before we go to market with everything. Then once we figure it out, we get the validation. Then you go to market. Then you spend the money because you know you'll get the return. Right? So that's what we want to set up. Now, the hardest part about setting all this up is that most times we have a hard time articulating what our value proposition is. We have a hard time actually discussing with customers why they should want to buy our product. We're excited about it because we think our product is great. We created it, right? But again, unless your customers feel the same way, it's all for naught. And so we want to go through today's episode. Again, I'm gonna, in our usual fashion, I'm gonna go ask some questions to kind of draw out, hey, what is your customer hypothesis, right? And once we get that information, we'll put this in a hypothesis format so it's clearly able to be articulated and is visible to everyone. And then afterward, probably in the next episode, we'll discuss, well, how do you test this out with our customers? How does everyone feel about this? Does all make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Never heard of it that way. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a it's a great tie. Again, and I've been leading us on a straight line journey that everybody can follow. So, again, we're doing it with your company, but anyone who's watching these set of videos should be able to apply it to whatever they're doing. First figuring out, through the personas, what the problems are that customers have, right? Then after you figure out what problems they have, kind of migrating towards, well, which customers should I go after? Who do I provide the most value to, right? And in there, we started formulating and started talking a little bit about what do we want to give them, right? What do we give them now, but what do they really want in the future? So we talked about that in previous pieces before. Normally, what people do is they start with the personas and they do the profiles and they migrate to what we call a value proposition canvas. And what the value proposition canvas does is actually look at, here's what the customers value and who they are. Here are their pain points. Here's what's painful for them. Here's what they hope to gain from using your product or service. And then on the other side, you kind of lay out, well, here's your product or service, and you map. Oh, well, my product or service, if they have these pains or these problems, well, here's what my product or service, here's how it solves it. If they have these painful points, then here's how my product or service alleviates those pains. If they want these gains, if they want these outcomes out of this thing, then here's how my product or service will actually deliver those outcomes, right? So normally that's what we do in Silicon Valley. We have all that stuff mapped out. So you go from the personas right to the value proposition, without getting too technical and showing everyone all the hard templates and things we work with. Again, I'm just gonna make it very conversational, ask some questions. We'll draw it out, and then everyone will be able to see how all this stuff fits together, right? Uh, what are you thinking, Brother Long?
This is amazing. Like you said, you're streamlining it. Whatever the language that you use, the way that you're laying this out so that we all can benefit from it is just amazing, and everything makes so much sense.
Now, the cool thing, and I'm going to show this to everybody just so that those out who are viewing this can see how big and how legitimate this is. I just did a search on the internet for the customer hypothesis. And what you're going to see, what we're actually going to show in front of you, is a presentation that's out free on the web, put out by Carnegie Mellon. So you can actually see, giving credit to where it's due. Presentations, and it has questions to ask to figure out elements of the customer hypothesis, and it's all laid out, right? So all you have to do is follow the questions that they have laid out for you, right? So we're actually going to try their format, their questions. Some of these we've already answered in the personas. So
Yeah.
that's what this first part is, like, who are the customers? We already
Yeah.
figured out who that is, right? But when you get to what I call the value proposition, and again, the value proposition is mainly, why would customers value or why would they buy your product or service, right? So let's start out with these questions.
Okay.
So Justin, why, again, you're offering a lot of service as far as working with the artists, working with the performers, giving them the training, polishing, producing. Why would they buy that service from you? Why wouldn't they try to do this all on their own?
Well, honestly, that's a really um, fascinating part of it all. I think the biggest thing that we provide is the fact that, with technology now, with technology now, you can do a lot on your own, so we are definitely, sometimes it does conflict where people, really desire to do it on their own, and that's fine. I try not to fight that. but at the same time, we provide a situation where um, you don't have to do the work all by yourself. You have someone that, you know, has shown expertise that you can trust that will give you, a top, either top training or top production, and it's proven. And so I think what you get is, another ear, another sound, another someone that's really again that you can trust, that's proven, that can do what you need to do as far as production or as far as training and getting you to where you need to be. So that's I think I don't I struggle with this because when there is a certain energy that is in music, where a lot of people are very super outgoing and overly promising and really loud with their presentations of how what the big differences are. And really, there's not a whole lot. But the biggest thing that we could probably provide to another artist or someone and specifically that you asked, that um, versus doing it on their own, is you have someone that can really take away the time and really give you something that you can trust. So I think that would be my answer. Does that make sense? Can you hear me?
It sounds like what I thought you were going to say was when they say, why would the people buy it? I thought you were going to say because they think that's the next step in their journey. They're a singer, they got some talent, they need a producer to help them get to where they want to go. And so they believe that you are a necessary step in their journey.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I didn't. Yeah, I guess that would be really really good. Yeah, that's true. It's just the way is the question was phrased versus doing it on your own. It kind of took me off of that thought process. But yeah, absolutely. Um, Bringing someone in to be that necessary step to get them to another level of production and pushing them up into a quality that they haven't heard or felt, or the level of control that you haven't seen by trying to do it yourself. Yeah, I like that.
Brian, I see your microphone, but I can't hear you. Justin, can you hear Brian?
No, I can't hear or see them.
So I see a red arrow by his name. I don't know what that means. Okay.
All right, sorry for that brief delay. I lost internet service, but luckily I had it back up. So I'm using my hotspot. But so I'm gonna take your response and I'm gonna boil it down to the essence of it, right? And what I heard you say is that with modern technology, people can actually provide by themselves a lot of the services that you offer. But the problem that they actually have is that they don't know through their own efforts if they'll actually be able to produce a good result.
Right,
You talked about, trust, right? And security. Really, what you're really selling is certainty. I could try this on my own, but I don't know if the research I pull off the web is going to be correct. And you've got a proven method
Yeah.
that works, right? I can talk to my friends over here, because again, remember, all these artists that come to you, they all got friends that have been in the music business for I don't know how long. Of course, all their friends are still in the corner. None of them have made it in the marketplace as artists. And I could put my trust in my friends that are still in the corner that aren't making any money, right? But how much do I want to invest my career, my livelihood in something that's not proven?
Right.
And so essentially, what they want to buy from you is a proven method. I want security to know that the effort I put in is going to work, it's going to be worth it. You're selling certainty.
I like that. Yeah.
How do you feel about this?
Yes. Total agreement. Absolutely. Yeah. I love it.
There's this concept in the industry that we call jobs to be done. And the concept is based on this fact that people don't actually buy your product or service. They have a problem that they want solved, and they're hiring your product or service to solve their problem. The problem that I have, let's go back to Shaniqua, right? Shaniqua, sorry, it was Uniqua.
Unique. Right.
Go back to Uniqua, right? I've been in this industry for a while, and I'm uncertain that the choices that I'm going to make are actually going to be fruitful and it's going to take me to the next level, right? So the problem is I can't trust myself in my decision making, right? That's the problem I have.
Right.
I want to hire your service to mitigate the risk. I'm hiring you a proven method that's been tested to mitigate the risk of me spending time and effort in the wrong direction. What do you think?
Yes. Yes. And yes. I agree 100%.
Now, the other part of the value proposition, and I'm going to go back to sharing the slides here. Again, we got the first part. We know what problem we're trying to solve, right? We're trying to solve that problem of, I don't really know that this is going to work. I can't trust my decision making in this area because I don't know enough. See? So we solved that problem. Now, what we want to do, because there's some other aspects of the value proposition, is what we call pain. So, and the pain is that when we're actually trying to accomplish whatever it is we're trying to accomplish, there's some things that are troubling, right? And those are pains, right?
Yeah.
And what we want to do now is identify when Uniqua is actually going into the music business, and she's trying to do all this stuff on her own, or she's working with one of your competitors. She's working with somebody else. What are the things that make it difficult for her? What do you think?
I think honestly, the biggest thing that makes it difficult is most producers that are going to, most artists that are going to come to me are singers. Okay. So Uniqua is going to be a vocalist to some degree. Well, 90% of the producers are rap hip hop producers. Okay. And so what it does is it provides a situation to where they can only give so much assistance when it comes to uh guiding and aiding her as a vocalist, giving her the right space as a vocalist, giving her the right uh, uh atmosphere for her to feel like she can fly as a vocalist, the freedom to be a singer instead of just a rap track. And so, just hit record and play, put heavy auto tunes or whatever else you want to put on her voice and just go. Instead, I think the biggest difference for me is for my service is that I provide a situation where I can help the singer at a bigger scale and a lot more open scale. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Kind of what I'm hearing from it is that, as artists are trying to break into the business, they're trying to make their way. Most of the time, they have one skill, right? And a lot of times it's vocal, right?
Yes.
They have one skill, but no make all this stuff work, you need all these other skill sets to come together, right?
Yes.
It's not just the vocals, it's the arrangement, it's the music that goes with it. It's the marketing. It's all these other skill sets are necessary to make it work, and the pain they have to go through is that if they were going to do this themselves, they would have to learn all these other skill sets. That's not their strength, right? And might be impossible. And even if it is possible, it might be so difficult and take so long that it wouldn't meet their timeline, wouldn't meet their expectations. They'll get discouraged and quit. And you cut through all that.
Right.
Right? You've acquired all these skill sets. You've acquired the contacts that are necessary to bring everything together. And so you can actually shortcut them through, and they can start seeing results in a much faster way. Right? That I captured that well?
Oh, yes. Very well.
And now here's the third part. So we discussed pains. Now we're going to discuss gains. Right? If they work with you and they can cut through all this stuff, how will Unique will measure the value, and what should she expect to see as a result?
The value. That's a critical word. Wow. All right. So I think the value is a okay, there we go. The value would be a very a proven sound. I think value would be a confined time. What might take you 8 months to do, it might take us 2 days. Of just sifting through ideas, sifting through melodies, sifting through different parts of the songs or the song, and then you will also gain another ally as far as like networking and kind of putting you in place. So I just think like as a creative, you gain someone that, you get a proven sound, yes, but you also get a someone that really can give you a lot in a little bit of time, excellent production in a short amount of time, and also the ability to kind of network a little bit on your behalf. So it's like, connecting you to X, Y, and Z. So
All right, so you said you can do a lot in a short amount of time. Well, how much time can you reduce her journey?
yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, and thinking about the fact that a lot of people try to do it on their own, or you have someone that can't that's not going to help you on the journey of finding your artistry or or growing as an artist or take you to another level, that could take a long time. So I'm honestly, I've seen people spin in circles for months. So I'm thinking like maybe a couple months of just sifting through artists and trying to find your way. That's why I say 8 months. Like you could be looking for 8 months to find the perfect flow of your sound. But if you work with, I have a couple artists that they've done that. They've done it for months, and it's like I'm going back to Justin. This is right. This feels good. So like it's a matter of you talking about months in a few hours. Honestly, a few days. I'll give myself a couple of days to kind of do. So I would say you're saving yourself a few months of effort for sure.
Now, I heard two numbers. I heard a few months, meaning 3, and I heard 6 months. Which one?
Let's say 3 months.
And there's a reason I'm being specific with this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna share my screen again. And remember the purpose of this questioning was to create what we call the customer hypothesis. And we use a certain format to make this work. It's the given if then format. The given actually states here's what must be true, here are kind of the assumptions that we're basing our decisions on.
Yeah.
The if statement talks about here's what actions need to be taken for our customer. And the then part discusses the results that they get, the gains by using your product or service, right? And so if you look here, I've actually taken your words and I've written out this customer hypothesis, right? So
Yeah. Okay.
given that our persona, the unique was, she doesn't trust her decision making in this area. And she doesn't have the multiple skills necessary to make this successful. Levitation music can bring the skill sets to her and bring the guidance using a proven method. So she has that security. Then Uniqua can shorten her time to market by 3 months, and she can enjoy herself while she's on this journey, right? Because again, the biggest thing that artists when they trying to do all this stuff themselves, they're struggling trying to learn all these skill sets that they don't have,
Yep.
and that's not fun. And earlier we talked about how when you actually partner up with the artist, you make sure that there's this connection, and you can actually enjoy, have fun, just making the music, right?
Oh yeah.
So this is what we want to test out. This customer value hypothesis. This is why they come to your service. How do you feel about this?
It's crazy. It's crazy to see it like that. I love it. All of it is how I base it. Like this is it right here. So to see it like that, I totally agree, but it's really cool to see it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Further along, how do you feel about the process we use to actually come up with, this kind of customer value hypothesis here? What are your thoughts?
I think this would be good for cheat sheets. I think we need to come up with like some index cards with some of these bangers on them right here, because some of like this stuff is probably in your head since you've been doing it for 30 years. But some of this stuff, man, we got to turn these into index cards because this is a powerful process that you're showing us.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It's a powerful process that anyone can actually do and apply to their business. But the key, again, we've been doing it, and it's just like you said, it's kind of second nature here in Silicon Valley. But most people haven't been exposed to it where we're from, right? And it's scientific, it's proven out. If you go to any major IT company, product managers are actually using these formats, using these tools to figure out the direction of their product or service. And they spend a lot of time actually making sure this stuff is perfect. They spend a lot of time actually going out to customers to validate that customers agree with this before they go in this direction. But most of us, we actually start our businesses off because we're passionate about doing the work. So we don't spend the time to actually, one, articulate this, but then two, go ahead and prove it out. And again, we wrote down this stuff. More than likely, we're partially right, but what all product managers figure out is that there are tweaks to it that need to be made. And those tweaks make the difference between whether you're a $1,000 company or $1 million company, right? In Silicon Valley, we're dealing with billions. Like some of these companies, they have more money than a lot of countries on the planet because they've actually done the research strategically to figure out what exactly do customers value. And that's why it's so important to be able to articulate this and then test it out. Get feedback from real customers to say, hey, is this really what you want? Right. So right now, we're thinking that what Uniqlo really values is hurrying up, being able to make that breakout. When we say breakout, the end result, we're thinking that she's looking at is being able to produce a piece of music that can actually reach an audience in a short period of time, saving that 3 months, and being able to enjoy herself while she's on the journey, right? And what we got to validate is, are those the two most valuable things? Or what we discussed earlier, and I should probably add and to this, and she feels confident, and I'll put secure,
Yeah.
certain that this direction will work. And, what we want to do is test out what's most important for her. And this is what you want to put on the website, right? I'm going to be advertising, and people think that they should be advertising their product or service, but they wouldn't go to your website unless they were already interested in your product or service.
Right.
What they really care about is this part here, right? The gain that they get. And what differentiates you from everyone else and why she would choose you is, hey, can can you provide that certainty that we're going in the right direction? Is she going to be happy while she's going through this thing? Like, can I get this done in less time that I would actually take with other people or on my own? And that's what you need to put on the front page of your website and advertise. That's what they're buying, right?
Yeah.
I talked about this before. People buy emotion, not your product or service, right? But the emotion the Uniqlo wants is she wants that certainty that this is
Oh,
going to
so true.
work. So, Brother Lon, what do you think about this?
Well, I'm just thinking. I think that in each episode, we should try to identify. I just took a screenshot of this, and some things that we could take screenshots of and just turn them into flashcards, little cheat sheets. Because I see that, first we did personas, then we did something else, and like we're on our fourth thing right now. And so I'm moving forward. If we could just try to identify a little cheat sheet component from each one, and then I'll go back over the first few and try to pull something out of there too, so that I can see by the time you take us through all of these processes, we could have some little cheat sheet literature to help support us.
Yeah, I think that'll be helpful. And Justin, what do you think about the way we've concisely articulated? Here's what our Uniqlo's, our personas actually value.
Yeah. Look, I am honestly, it's funny. I do a lot of thinking about this stuff and really kind of planning for it to be this way. But to see it right here, I can see it being a market tool. You know what I mean? Like I can see this on a website, like, shorten your time by 3 months, and all of these different things. And I never really put myself in a situation to see it that way. So this is super duper helpful and super simple to really kind of walk through the process to really get out what I know to be what I'm about as a producer and as a trainer. But I've taken the time to try to get it out, but
Right.
this lays it out so easy. And so I'm just in awe, man. This is beautiful. It really
And
is. It's
all
fun. Yes.
and all, it's a real life consultation.
Yes, for real. I'm just glad I'm being honest with the whole thing because it makes it fun for me, man. So no, it really is like, okay, like now I can see it all. Like I can see how, to put myself out there and really allow myself to be connected, because this is the journey that I like to be on with artists and other people, and it just makes it so easy. It's so worthwhile for me because of this stuff. But you made it sound so, like, it's just like, okay, yeah, of course we're gonna shorten some time. We're gonna, you know what I mean? So it's really cool, really cool.
He,
It's
he
funny
writing the vision, making it plain.
Yeah.
when I work with my clients a lot, and I get kind of the same reaction, and I'm always joking with them, and like it's almost like I do this for a living, right?
And now, Brian, man, I know you know it, man, but we're just now getting a chance to witness this, man. This is amazing
It's
stuff,
amazing,
man.
bro.
What? Yeah.
So what we'll do is again we'll wrap up for this session for this episode. Again, the things you want to reiterate is that coming up with the value proposition, getting that information. Hey, what's important to my customers? What are the jobs to be done? What are the problems that we're solving for our customers? Right? What are the pains they go through as they're trying to use or attain the goal they're actually trying to attain? And what benefits do they get out of it? Like capturing that helps you come up with that value proposition, and that is the fodder for the customer value hypothesis. So we figure all that stuff out. We just put it in our given if then format, and now we have something to use and test out. So in our next episode, what we'll do is we'll take this and we'll discuss, well, how can we test this out? We no need to ask our customers, what are we going to ask them? And after we finish asking them, how do we collect that data and make sense out of it so that it can actually guide our product, our service, and tweak it so we can get the maximum return out of it, right? Until then, I'm going to thank you both. And yeah, we'll do this again next week.